Hello, everybody, and welcome to VG.Cantina's the video game podcast. I am your host, M, and prepare yourselves for a jam-packed podcast, is what I would be saying. But there is no news, so there is very little I can talk about in this podcast. I have, when I was going throughout the day today, looking throughout kind of just the news, I have realized on the past two episodes I have been relying heavily on news related matters in video games, using them kind of as a crutch. So today, Friday, July the 9th, this will be the podcast to test just how much I can talk about miscellaneous stuff in video games and not just rely on news and kind of just parroting what I have read. Although there is, I don't know if it really counts as news, just something that I saw in the day. I think it was it mostly started yesterday, but it wasn't really added to the podcast because I was just kind of looking through other bigger stuff. And it's this ad from PlayStation. Usually, with these ads, they show a variety of games, some lifestyle situations that includes the console. And in this one in particular, there is a shot of the PlayStation 5, PS5, sitting horizontally upside down. And it got pulled, but people noticed it and spread it like wildfire. And it was just kind of, laughed at, kind of chuckling. And I just thought it'd be noteworthy to bring it up just because how do you mess... Well, I guess I can't really say how do you mess that up, but it really shows kind of just like the people running those ads or directing those ads probably aren't really super super big into maybe games or whatever. They're kind of just setting a shot and holding a situation because it can be pretty confusing to when you look at the PS5 and I'm looking at it here, with its really unique shape. I can see where you can like mess it up, or you see the DVD or the disc hole, and I guess maybe you would assume that it would be up because I feel like that's how most things are. The disc hole is usually on the top because it's easier to put in the disc. But I mean, if you have a PS5, and of course I don't, but I've seen a whole bunch of people set up and look at and discuss the PS5. To have it horizontal, I'm pretty sure you have to have the clip onto the PS5 with the plate on the bottom so it holds it, because you can't just leave it flat there, because if not it kind of puts pressure on the side panel and would bend it, I would assume. So I mean, I'd imagine you have to really mess up and kind of force it to be there, I guess. Or maybe I'm wrong. And maybe, it can go both ways and they just keep messing it up. But yeah. I mean, I like the look of the PS5, but I can see that there was a serious design flaw without, being too exact in how the PlayStation should be placed. I mean, very obviously they wanted it to be placed vertically. It'd be pretty funny if you see a PlayStation 5 in a commercial where it's vertically but it's upside down. I think if that happens, they should just keep that, because that's just the funniest thing of how absurd that would look. But horizontally, I guess there'd also be some issues because since the how you place the disc inside the slot, if it was upside down, you might just destroy the disc, and those things cost like $70 or $60 if it's like a PS4 version of it. But that's really the only news I kind of saw that was noteworthy, at least for me, to talk about. That was purely video games related. I know there was some news with The Witcher getting the season 2. That's more along the lines of the of a TV show. Although they did say that they were going to upgrade or give a upscaling or whatever for a PS5 and Xbox versions for The Witcher 3, which I mean is great. It's a great, magnificent game, and obviously like Skyrim or GTA, they're gonna continually port it and continually remaster it and put it everywhere they can, which is smart because if you got gold, and you might as well just keep making more gold. That's not a saying. That's just something I made up on the spot because I'm really bad at doing things on the spot. But other than that, not much going on. Usually, like I said in my previous podcast episode, Fridays are usually meant for like negative news because the press usually obviously takes days off on the weekend, so it just gets lost in the cycle there. Obviously, they'll probably still report on it on Monday, but with people's attention spans and whatnot, they'll probably just forget or just not really care too much. So I guess it's a good thing there's not a lot of news. That means there's no bad news. No good news, but no bad news. So we take the tie. We take the normal day. So with that being said, I've also been thinking, well, what else can I talk about on this podcast? What else should I talk about? And obviously the only other thing that I've been talking about is what I have been playing throughout the day or whatnot. And I was just thinking, like, there's a lot of issues with that. Obviously I'll be playing the same thing again and again, so it'd probably get boring. I mean, like I said, I've been playing Breath of the Wild, and not much to say, just doing more stuff, doing the same thing, all that jazz. Did not play League today. I'm going to make that a segment. Did I play League today? Yes or no? Yes, horrible. No, good. I'm learning. But I was looking what I can talk about. I still want to, talk about what I played, and if it's a short segment, fine. If it's a long segment, good, because that means maybe I've learned something or thought of something. Because when you have a hobby of video games, I feel it's important. Obviously not mandatory because it's a hobby and you can really do whatever you want. But I feel it's important to kind of really get into the nitty gritty of it. Look at it deeper, because video games as a form of entertainment is pretty complex because it takes a whole bunch of stuff and mashes it together and hopes it works out. With books or writing or whatever, it's mostly focused on writing, and you can go really in depth with that. With movies, it's a little bit more complicated because it has writing and then it has acting and whatnot, and certain design things with CG and direction and whatnot. TV shows, same thing, but at a much smaller scale, but extended or elongated over a much larger or longer course. But with video games, it kind of takes a lot of things from a lot of entertainment and mixes them together. You got writing and storyboarding. You got obviously animation or CG or whatever for the gameplay. You have the gameplay itself, music. Granted, a lot of other things have that, but I think in video games, music is really important because it's such an integral part of the player's experience. So, a lot of things that are important in a lot of other mediums is just so much more important in video games. And trying to go back to my point, because as I talk, I just talk in a tangent and I'm going to forget. I think it's really important for people that are in this hobby and are really looking to be in the hobby is to be able to look at all the stuff and kind of learn what these game designers or all these people do, and kind of learn, like, kind of see what it means to write a score for a game, see what it means to design gameplay aspects, game philosophies, scripts for games, because for a lot of games there's not really deep or whatever. And I say this because I do have a collection of games. I at one point I kind of looked around and saw some old games for cheap, took them in and decided, it's kind of cool to look at all these old games and either reminisce of games that I've had before, or kind of have games that I've always wanted but never had my own money to get. So I've amassed a small collection of games. I mostly collect PlayStation 2 games, or PlayStation style games, so PS1 to I guess now 5. But I also have a small collection of Nintendo games. And so to combine those 2 points, I have here a game that I wanted to, I guess look at, talk about, share my thoughts with it. And it's going to be a Game Boy game, Game Boy Color game, Nintendo, obviously, and that is Pokemon Gold. No real reason why it's specifically Pokemon Gold. I guess really just the generation of Pokemon. And I wanted to talk about this one specifically because I was just kind of rummaging through, cleaning, doing some, I guess, some chores or whatever, and kind of adjusting some things. And I noticed that I have 3 copies of Pokemon Gold. Don't know why. I like them. I don't have any copies of Pokemon Silver, but I got an extra 2 of Gold, so I guess 2 golds equals a silver. I mean, they really don't, but I could say that. And I don't know why I have these. I really like cartridges as a physical form. I know discs are, the common form of video game physical manifestation or whatever for a lot of things, but I really like the cartridge form that games used to have. Obviously the Switch has it now, but they're more like very tiny, almost like SD type cartridges. And the reason why I like the cartridge like the Game Boy or the Nintendo 64 or the SNES or NES or whatever is because I like that you can really put artwork on these cartridges. With discs, you don't really see a lot of artwork on the disc anymore, or if you did, it kind of just either not really respect the fact that it was on a disc and just have artwork with a giant hole in the middle. Granted, I think there was like a game a long time ago that just knew that it had a hole in the middle and just put I think the female characters but smack dab in the middle, so there was just a giant hole in the crotch. But I think other than that, and maybe Katamari, I think Katamari also did something with the disc. Other than that, there really wasn't much great artwork, I think, on discs. I would have to go through my collection and see what I see. Mostly the artwork was on the boxes, but I mean, cartridge-based games also have boxes, and they also have great artwork, or at least okay artwork for most of them. But when you get these cartridges, you have a nice little splash of artwork, and I really, really like the Pokemon cartridges. Really, up until I guess the DS, when they started becoming a lot smaller, because all the cartridges for all the Pokemons are all colored to their respective color specific Pokemon game. So you have, red, blue, and green. They're those colors. Yellow was that color. Gold and silver are those colors. At least in the, I guess, American or non-Japanese version, because I do have two boxes of gold and silver. Well, I guess I do have a silver Pokemon game, but it's a box of Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver from Japan that I found, and I opened it. It wasn't sealed, so it was okay to open it. I opened it to see everything was there. It was, and then I noticed that the cartridges were actually black. Not well. I'm too lazy to actually go get them. I might talk about this in the next podcast or show, but they weren't as vibrant as the gold and the silver from the Western version of the game. They were either black, which I think is silver version, and then like a very dark, different color for the gold version, and it had the artwork. And I was very confused. I was like, "Oh my god, did I just spend this money on like fake game cartridges?" Because it's very common to see these cartridges just be faked because they're so popular. And then I looked online and I looked around, and no, these were authentic and legit. It's just that's how they came. So I found it interesting to learn that some cartridges in Japan just have these muted colors, while over here we have just like the rainbow. That continued with Ruby and Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald and whatnot. And I just think I think these are cool. My favorite, and you'll hear that my favorite is very specific to the Gen 2. Not just because of nostalgia, I have good reasons for it. My favorite is definitely the Gen 2 versions of these games. I mean, down to everything. The cartridge itself is holographic. The color of the gold and the silver is speckled with, I don't really know what to call it, like dust, very sparkly glitter. The crystal version is also great. I mean, just that crystal blue is awesome. Um, and now that I think about it, I also have a Japanese crystal version of Pokemon that I got super long ago because I thought it was cool. And it's funny because I was just talking about how like the gold and silver for the Japanese version was muted, but this crystal one is super cool. It's way better than, I'm pretty sure it's way better than the Western version. I mean, it's really the same, but uh, it is it's crystal. It has kind of the same look as the gold and silver, except it's kind of see through, so you can see the board and everything. And on the back, it has on the board, on the back of it, etched the giant crystal on Suicune's head, etched into it. And I saw that, I was like, oh man, that looks awesome. Kind of disappointed when I got the other two games from Japan, from the Japanese versions of it, and there really wasn't anything special. Like I said, it was kind of muted colors. But the crystal version, that's absolutely my favorite, and my favorite my favorite game from the entirety of the series. I guess you can make a argument for the Soul Silver and Heart Gold, the remakes of it for the DS, but I think for sure, definitely Crystal is my favorite Pokemon game of all time. And just almost spent like 6-7 minutes just talking about the outside of the game, and I want to specifically talk about the game itself. I think, hot take coming to you live. Get your mitts ready. I think the Gen 2 versions of Pokemon are hands down the best version of Pokemon, and hands down the best ever sequel to a game. I don't know if they're considered a sequel. I consider them a sequel, most for several reasons. The main one really being they literally include the game section from the first one, where you can go after you beat the first part of the game. So I really see them as a sequel to it. I'm pretty sure there was like a note somewhere in like talking about the creation of Pokemon. I'm pretty sure there was a note saying like the Gen 2, there was only supposed to be two gens, the first one and the second one, and just because how popular it was, they went ahead and continued on with them. But yeah, that is your hot take for the night. It is the best Pokemon game. It is the best, I think, sequel ever made to a game. And it's just all around great. I mean, I think it also included, it didn't include the first ever female in a game, but I'm pretty sure it included the first ever option to be a female in a game. Because, for I think this game came out in like 2000 or 99, different dates for Japan and the US. And I don't know if before then there was an option to be a girl in a game. I think it was mostly just default to either being a guy or just being a girl, kind of like with Metroid, where it Metroid, or not Metroid, but Samus was always a girl. But I think this was the first one that allowed you to have a choice. It was definitely for sure the first one in the game to let you have the choice, and specifically in Crystal. I've been playing Crystal for a little bit, so I didn't go back to Silver or Gold. I should really do that to kind of compare the differences. But I'm pretty sure that is. If I'm wrong, say it in the comments, because I'm curious. I would love to hear feedback on it. But just an all around awesome things that were added. So let's just go into it. I assume everyone has played these Pokemon games, or at least it's been a while, so maybe some of y'all have forgot about it. But with Pokemon Gen 2, it had so much added to it. Obviously not like just a massive truck ton of stuff, but a lot of cool things that were added to it. Because I know for a fact that a lot of people have either forgotten about the original Pokemon, like Red and Blue and whatnot, because there's a lot of jank in those games that were terrible, but we kind of put up with them because they were the first of their kind. And one of the worst things I remember was I'm pretty sure there was like a bag limit, so you could only carry a certain amount of stuff, and it sucked. Obviously, back then it wasn't too bad because since it was the first thing of its kind, you kind of learn to live with it. But I'm pretty sure in Gen 2 they got rid of that. They also added different types of Pokeballs. So when you get to the second gym, to progress, you need the HM cut, and you get it from the Farfetch guy, and I think he introduces you to the Poke guy that makes the balls, or either you help protect the Slowpokes, and then you meet the guy. But they introduced these acorn things, and I'm pretty sure they also introduced berries in this one as well. Um, but the berries, nothing much to say other than they didn't have their names that they are known now. They had the what they did plus the word berry. So like they had poison berry, uh, ice berry, maybe, I don't know. I just remember the poison berry um, was the one that I remember. Um, just because it was PSN berry. Um, but then they had these things called acorns, and they had different colored acorns. And you'd go to the town of the second gym, bring them to this guy, and he'd make Pokeballs. And I thought that was really cool. I don't know if it was intentional to make deeper lore or whatever, but I thought it was really cool that you could make Pokeballs out of these acorns. And I remember as a kid, I was so enthralled with that idea. I was like, oh man, Pokeballs are just made with acorns? I got acorns in my backyard. So I went outside and stuffed them in my bag and looked everywhere in the strategy guide how to make Pokeballs. I was not a smart kid. In fact, I'm still not a smart kid. In fact, I'm really stupid. Probably got dumber. But that was really cool. I love the designs of those Pokeballs. I love what they each did. I think my favorite was definitely the Moon Ball, which I don't know if that was specific to like Clefairy or whatever, but I love that design. Uh, the lure ball was also pretty cool, but I think that's mostly because I really liked its matching color scheme with Totodile. Even though Totodile isn't my favorite one, it's in the quill, but that mostly comes from uh, the the cartoon, the anime that came out with Pokemon Gen 2, and how much personality they gave Totodile. Um, and then there was other ones like Heavy Ball, which was used to catch Pinecone. What other ones? Was there like a Friend Ball, Love Ball, or something? Um, there's I don't know if there was a lot, but there was a substantial amount to like have them, and this was the only game to use it, I think, because now we have other Pokeballs. We have like a Timer Ball, a Quick Ball, Nest Ball, a Lure Ball, but they're not the specific Pokeballs that were from this game. And I think the designs of these Pokeballs are much better. They're either they're not completely like wild or anything. Like, I don't like the look of the Dusk Ball that's current. It's black with green splotches all over it and a red ring. I don't like the look of that. I prefer the simplicity of the Pokeball, and then I like it when they branched it out, they still kind of kept it simple. Like the Ultra Ball isn't all too crazy. The Great Ball's, if I'm remembering how it looks, that's a kind of little weirder. The Master Ball is kind of funky looking, but that's because it's special. And I really like how simple it is. So I was kind of sad to see those go, but they lived on in some way. But I really miss those specific ones. Maybe it's nostalgia, but I really think they're just really good designs. The other thing is they added two new typings. That was the first time that typing was added, and it is the most that the Pokemon has ever added in one gen. Obviously, we got. Actually, did they add three typings? Was Ice a specific typing during Gen 1? I don't remember. I know there was Ice moves, but I don't know if it was very specific to it. Kind of like the deal with Dragon. What was Dragon added to um, Gen 1, or was that added later on? You know what? I'm going to, instead of rambling around asking you to find it for me, I'm going to be a good host and look it up. Typings in Gen 1 Pokemon. I'm talking about how much I love these games, and I can't even remember this simple stuff. See, this is how you know I've gone dumber throughout the ages. Um, I remember, stuck in my head, I remember when I think I was 5 or something, or whatever. Um, we went to this birthday party. I don't even remember for who or for what, but it was a Pokemon themed party, and I was super excited because they had a whole bunch of Pokemon toys, and we played games to win prizes or whatnot. And I won one prize because I was super smart. Then I was like, the host was a clown. He was like making us do all these kind of things to, like, find 5 things of this, five things of that. He said find 5 belts or something. I was able to get 4 belts, and I was looking around because like nobody had any more belts. And I looked at the clown. I was like, oh, he's got a big ass belt. So I went and got it, and he was like, oh, you're so smart. And that is my highest point in life. 5-year-old, I peaked. I got a Vaporeon bouncy ball. Lost it almost immediately, but that is my high. I think of that whenever I need to feel good. So let's take a look here. Typings. Not a lot of typings. Kind of hard to see. It shows me typings of gyms. But to continue that story, because that's not where I know I've gotten dumber. There was my teacher, kindergarten teacher, I think, or YouTube. I'm on YouTube right now. Or elementary teacher came to talk to us. She was saying hi to all the kids, and I guess me wanting to impress the person, I just, being a annoying child, I was like, look at what I can do, and I named all of the Pokemon in all of their order, all 150 by memory, and obviously it was annoying, but also she seemed kind of impressed because that was a lot to take in for a child of my age. And I kind of think of that to this day, not because I like to remember that I used to be smart, but I'm also trying to get a bachelor's in education, and going through my classes of trying to teach kids how to learn. One of the things was to try and include things that are fun, and we were talking about incorporating video games into teaching, just to try anything. And I remember we were talking and looking at all of these failed examples because they kind of tried to make education into video games instead of incorporating video games into education. Obviously I don't know which way would work, but I know the way that they were doing kind of made me just cringe because, like, I feel like no one would like this. But I just kind of went back into my head, and I remembered how I memorized 150 Pokemon names in their order, and I knew exactly which Pokemon evolved to what. I knew their typing. I don't know if I knew exactly when they evolved, but I definitely knew their typing, and that's a lot of information to take in. And then I fast forward to when I was in high school, and I was having so much trouble memorizing the periodic table. I don't know why I was memorizing it. I think it was just to try and help me with my chemistry subject. But I kind of just put the 2 and 2 together. I was like, well, how did I learn all of these names and their typings in order, and where they connected, but I can't learn at least half of the periodic table, and some of it, the information with specific elements. And it just kind of dawned on me as like, well, it's because the other one's a game and it's fun, and this one is annoying and I get yelled at when I get it wrong. Obviously I still don't know how to try and connect the two in terms of teaching kids the periodic table if I wanted to, and have them learn it like if they were learning Pokemon names. But I feel like there's a bridge that can be used for that gap. I just don't know what it is, but who knows. And during this time of talking and trying to entertain or act as background music, I still do not know. Famous ice types. 24. Alright. So I think ice has always been around. I know poison has always been around. Psychic was definitely around in the first one. When was dragon added? Dragon. Yeah, I think, yeah, dragon was in Gen 1. And just as a fun fact, there was only one move introduced in Gen 1 as a dragon type. I'm guessing it was Dragon Claw? Dragon Breath? Thrash, one of those. So yeah. But anyways, the two typings that were added to Gen 2 was Dark and Steel, um, which was the most ever added, because the only one that was added later on was Fairy, all the way in Gen 6 or 7. It was the 3DS version of it. So just adding two completely different things. Obviously, they did it for balance changes because Psychic was super OP, so they had to add Dark. And they made Bug super effective against Psychic for whatever reason. But that was such a big deal because it was so like, oh wow, new typings, and it's kind of funny. At least I'm pretty sure Steel was added. Now that I think about it, because I'm remembering Magnemite, and Magnemite was a fucking steel ball. How could he not be a steel type? I mean, I know he was electric, and I don't know if he was pure electric or not. Let's see here. Was there any steel added, or was it on the second one? Yeah, it was introduced Gen 2. Also, the balanced Psychic and normal type. Was normal good in... I guess it was good in Gen 1 because Tauros was considered a beast. But I think that was mostly because speed was correlated with crits and he was like super fast. But anyways, Steel and Dark were added. And I vastly prefer the Dark type to the Steel type. And that's mostly just because of the Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon from Gen 2, not including the starter, is Houndour and then Houndoom. Umbreon's also cool, but I prefer Espeon. And then I just find that the Dark fire typing should be super cool. Maybe it's just because it's edgy and it's red and black, and that's a cool color combination. I like Scissor too, but I don't know. I just prefer the look of the Dark typing of it. Also Murkrow. Murkrow is awesome. I used to like Misdreavus, but I don't know. Maybe just because she looks like a sock puppet. But yeah, the two typings were added there, and then obviously the color was added, but that's because it was a Game Boy Color and whatnot. And it expanded the game a whole bunch. I mean, you go through 8 gyms, and I think the Elite Four or whatever for the first part of the game. All the gyms were awesome. It's so I can't remember why I always laughed at the first gym, which was just a bird gym. I thought it was just a normal gym, and it just so happened to be all birds. And I was thinking, oh man, y'all should have added like another normal type. I mean, there's some ferrets over there. I'm just beating the shit out of y'all with a Geodude. But then I learned later, oh, it was a bird type gym, and for whatever reason, they has the letter S in the middle. Obviously, it was to make it look like, oh, you were. Actually, that's another weird thing. Some of the designs, obviously, because it's a Game Boy game, I imagine that the inside of that gym was trying to mimic like you were on a high rise or something, because it's a S type path, so a small, like, not ramp, but like bridge or whatever, and then the floor is black. I remember. I think. But like when you go outside, all the gyms are just kind of like these small, well, not small, like they're the biggest building in the town, I think, but they're a fairly sizable like warehouse. And then you go in, and for most of them, it's kind of, like I can see those things being inside a warehouse. But you go into the first gym, and it's just a giant pitfall. Like they dug a gigantic hole for the warehouse, and they just built like a path. I thought, that's stupid. What if I just fall? Is there Pokemon lawyers in the Pokemon world? I mean, there's police and healthcare workers, but no mention of Poke lawyers. That'd be a great title, though. That'd be pretty funny. Granted, I feel like if I just fell, I would be dead in a ditch. I mean, you got let out into the world as a 10-year-old, and your mom was like, you want me to save some money for you? Probably for life insurance or some shit. But that really stuck out to me. God, these terrible tangents, because I just keep forgetting what I was trying to talk about next. Let's see here. Oh, they also increased the legendaries in the game, because there were the three dogs, which have cool lore, or at least assumed lore of being the evolutions that died and got revived by Ho-Ho. You got the two sacred birds, um, and then you have Celebi, which was not included in the American version for whatever reason. I don't even think it was included in the Crystal version as well. I'm fairly certain it was included in the Japanese version with the shrine at the very beginning after the second gym, and you do something and then it appears the onion fairy for whatever reason, or is it a celery? Because it's Celebi, like fairy and baby and celery. God, Pokemon's weird, man. Fucking, people complain about the creativity of Pokemon now and what they're made of. They were terrible in the first gens as well. I mean, you got Muck, which is just poison ejaculate. You got Ekans, which is literally a snake. They just decided to put the name backwards. Is this good, boss? Snake, but backwards. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. It's creative. And you have just a ball, a magnet, a pedophile with Hypno, which I'm pretty sure is canon because they're in the Japanese version of it. He's called Sleeper, I think, but in the Japanese version he steals children. And I mean, come on, he looks like a pedophile. He's just get the fluff from his neck and move it to his like top of the face, and he's a pedophile. He's got the stash, he's got the nose, he's got the look, the weird hunchback. I hate Hypno. I hate Drowsy. I hate both of them so much. I hate that design so much. I think with Gen 2, the designs definitely got better. That's another thing. I think the designs massively got better. I think it was a lot more creative. I always get two Pokemon confused in when they came out. I one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, or at least up there with the other Pokemon that I say that I love all time, is Snorunt and the giant snowball head monstrosity thing. I love that Pokemon, and I always forget what gen it is. I'm pretty sure it's Gen 3, but for whatever reason, I always think it's Gen 2. I always picture it in a Gen 2 sprite, and I don't know why. And then I always think, and at least I know why I think this one, I always think Slugma and Macargo is Gen 3, because I never saw it in the game when I first played it. But I always saw it in the Gen 3 game because you had to go through that fire cavern, and there was Slugma everywhere. And I just thought, oh, this Pokemon is new and it's from Gen 3. It's like, no, it was in Gen 2. That's where it came out. And now that I'm thinking about it, the Slugma line is in parallel to the Whoopoo line because one's fire and rock and the other one's water and ground. Which is pretty cool. I like it when Pokemon does that. Granted, they mostly do that just to make two different copies, and you have to buy both of them to get them. But no, I think the designs really got a lot better. Looking now, yeah, Snorunt was Gen 3. Started Gen 3. But yeah, I think the designs went better. I love the designs of Houndour or Houndoom. I think those are cool. It's kind of like a devil dog type thing, like imp type thing. Obviously, Slugma and Macargo. I think those are actually based on like slug creatures, underwater slugs or whatever that actually look like they're made of lava. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's an obvious design, but in practice it looks really cool. Obviously, Wooper and Quagsire are the standouts of Gen 2. A lot of the baby Pokemon, although I think they were lazy to just add baby Pokemon instead of adding the evolution line, adding essentially to the evolution line like a secondary evolution. They made the single Pokemon from the Gen 1 the actual evolution, and then the other one's just the baby ones. Which I like the designs of the babies. I really like Elekid's because he's just a plug and it's just stupid. but it's not like the stupid like a keychain fairy stupid, but like I can just imagine someone grabbing it and shoving it into electrical port. But that, I mean, like, I just think that idea is stupid all around. I'm glad they exist; they're fun, but why? Like, it just doesn't make sense canonically. Like, you it's like, oh wow, look at these new Pokemon. It's like, you had these Pokemon forever in Gen 1. They are presumed to be hatched in the game. Obviously, you can hatch them like as a mechanic, but like in game they've been hatched. Like, canonically, how do you not see the baby Pokemon unless they evolved instantly? Which is stupid. But that's really my only gripe. The only one that I really like from the baby Pokemon is Tyrogue, which is the baby Pokemon of the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, and that's only because I think he's a really cool. He is the baby Pokemon done right, because he has a specific need of stats to evolve into either one of the two, and then he has a third one which was added, which is also a really cool design, is Hitmontop. I think that's a great design Pokemon. I think he's super fun, but he's really, I don't know if he's hard to get, at least for a kid, because I don't know which one needed the higher strength or the higher defense for Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, but I know for Hitmontop they had to be the same, and then he would evolve at level 20. And I think that's what they were probably going for when they were designing the baby Pokemon, but it just never panned out. But other than that, I think all the designs were great. I don't personally think there was anything too egregious. I think everything kind of kept in line. Maybe some people thought it was weird that a fish could evolve into octopus, but I think that was mostly the Pokemon Company making a joke of a fish that looked like a gun evolved into an octopus that was kind of named like a tank. So a gun to a tank. That's really it. They didn't really add any dragon Pokemon, which was weird, because I think that's something that was missed. Obviously, you have Tyranitar, but it's mostly ground. And you know what? Speaking of that, that's one main gripe I have with this game, is the placement of the Pokemon. That's the only real gripe I have with it, because the placement is super stupid. All of the Pokemon, all the Gen 2 Pokemon, you can find mostly, as you're playing through the Gen 2 area. But there are specific ones that you don't find until you're in Johto. Which, why? I think it would have been awesome if, obviously you can have some Gen 1 Pokemon in the Gen 2 area, but keep a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon in the Gen 1 area, because when you go into the Gen 1 area, because it's legitimately a surprise, and it's super mind-blowing. It's like, oh my god, you get to go back. Even till today, constantly, the Pokemon fanbase is asking to be able to go back to these places when you finish the game. So when you do it in this game, it's mind-blowing, and you get to see all these old Pokemon and the different layout, essentially, of the game. But why would you put Gen 2 Pokemon in Gen 1 area and lock it out? Like I said, I love Houndour, but it's locked out in Route 7 of the Gen 1 area. So I go through the entire game, and I constantly forget. It's like, oh my god, I can't get Houndour. And I have such stupid brain, because I like to plan out my team before I even start with these games. And I always, when I get Cyndaquil, there's only like one that I always go for Octillery or whatever for my water thing, because I like to have, I don't like to have a lot of duplicates in things. Or when I want to go with Totodile, I always want to go with Houndour or at least Slugma, but both of them are locked out in Gen 1 areas, which is stupid. And then no one ever picks Chikorita, because she's a grass nipple or something. Without the leaf, she's just a nipple with the areola around her neck with the little bulbs. Thankfully, she kind of evolves into a better looking thing, and it's clear that she's a dinosaur. But back to the Pokemon situation. Man, that sucks that thing is all messed up. That's really my only gripe with the game. Everything is awesome. The ending is awesome when you meet Red and he doesn't even speak, and it's just an epic battle. And it's super awesome that he has a really iconic team, and that's awesome. Some people complain about like the giant difficulty spike, and I'm okay with it, because I know, even today people complain about how some Pokemon games are just way too easy or whatnot. And I really like that with this game, it's not necessarily hard in the beginning, but when it gets super hard at that spike, I think it's really fun, or not necessarily jarring, but kind of surprising. It's like, oh, now I really gotta train, because now the game really is pumping out the difficulty. Also, I think that's appreciated in this game, that is also being complained about a lot these days, is the fact that you can just kind of skip the tutorial. It's not really a tutorial. It's kind of like this dude asks you, like, hey, you got Pokeballs. Want to learn how to throw Pokemon balls or whatever? And you can just say no. And he's like, oh, okay, see ya. And I think even in the Gen 1 game, they kind of forced you to see how to catch. And then every game after that, after Gen 2, you couldn't skip that situation. And it's gotten longer with each game. And now people are complaining, it's like, why do I have to play 30, 40 minutes of tutorial? I know how to play Pokemon. I've been playing since I've been pooping my pants. Just let me play Pokemon. And Gen 2 just let you skip that. I mean, you just got to do a little delivery mission, come back. All right, you're good. Go off, catch Pokemon, steal money from other people, all that kind of stuff. So, overall, Pokemon Gen 2, best Pokemon game. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's really all I kind of had to talk about. I didn't really think I'd talk all the entire time about Pokemon. I was thinking about talking about other stuff, but I really love the Gen 2 games, and I guess it shows that I just babbled on about it. But maybe I'll talk about about it more at length. Even though this thing's running close to an hour, at a later date, mostly because I just want to talk about the Japanese version of it, and also the Crystal version, which I didn't get to, and also the remakes. But that'll be at a different time. Definitely not anytime soon, because I feel like it's good to space out certain content. I don't just want to talk about Pokemon. But that's all I had to say. This feels good. Usually, I mean, I haven't been doing this a lot, but with the past two, I've kind of devoted most of it to news, and I wasn't sure how to talk about just random things, because it's a podcast. I should just be able to talk about stuff. But if I just talked about news, it just feels like I'm a news channel, and a really bad one at that. But talking about miscellaneous stuff, which is good. I feel like I'm getting better, but we'll see. We'll continue on. Obviously, there's most likely not going to be any news in the weekend, so I'll have to talk about another subject, which just helps with more practice. Anyways, been babbling on too long. If you're even here, thanks for stopping by. I will see you tomorrow. Have yourselves a wonderful day.